I won't lie to you. I was definitely thrown by how it started in the subway and homeboy just got murked in the alleyway. And I was just like, okay, we done started real fast, so we gonna get right to it.
If anything, what it really reminds me of is the 2000s era of anime that we would get on like Tech TV, Encore, Showtime, those anything that wasn't Toonami / Adult Swim.
The action is really good, but even then, I don't feel like it's pushing the envelope that much where it can overcome how kind of generic the tone of the story is so far.
Yo, what's poppin', everybody? It's the No Level Cap podcast. We back once again with the crew, talking about all the anime, all the gaming, all the nerd culture, none of the bullshit. Let me introduce my incredible co-host. We've got the Black Daredevil, the secret weapon of No Level Cap, Terrence Flowers. What's going on, Terrence?
Things are good on my end. Been dealing with a lot of auditions for like acting stuff, so outside the geek sphere. I guess going back into the geek sphere, I will be going to see Dune 2 tomorrow. Been hearing a lot of good things about it, so I'll go check that out. Looking forward to it. I'll see it in IMAX, so see it on the biggest screen possible. But yeah, things are good on my end.
Nice.
Oh, that's dope, man. I just seen Dune 1 last week. Great film. And yeah, I do want to go check out the second film when I get the chance, because the meme potential, but also just I've always fucked with Dune. I used to be a fan of the lore. I used to I remember now watching the sci-fi miniseries that they used to run on back in the day. So like I've always kind of been like a fan of that universe, and so I'm glad to see it getting the shine it deserves. Next up, we got the living cartoon, the man with the golden voice, Rakeem Beck. What's poppin', Rakeem?
Hey, what's up, guys? Everybody out there in podcast land. This week has been pretty much some of the previous weeks, working, and playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I have gotten to the point in Rebirth where I have achieved and gotten to the Golden Saucer, which is like my personal playground as a kid. I freaking loved the Golden Saucer as a kid. So running around in the new reimagined version of it has been spectacular. I just got done playing the G-Bike, playing the 3D brawler mode, going to the Coliseum. It was great. They have like a haunted house set up for your hotel room, and you meet Kate Sith there, of course, for everybody who played the original game. And now he has a Gaelic accent, that coincides with the lore of the actual Kate Sith. Is from Gaelic mythology, so that's pretty cool. I've been really enjoying it. Again, it's like it's a game that's so weird because like I don't ever want to stop playing it, but I'm an adult, so I have to stop playing it. But this is one of the best games I've ever played. I can say that already. I haven't even finished.
What's your hour count?
Loving it so far. I'm at 45 probably now.
That's still
like 44, 45. And I think I'm about halfway. I think I'm on chapter 8 or chapter 9. Pretty close.
Okay.
But I've been enjoying it. Just getting ready to see those who play FF7 know what's next. Get to see Dying and go into the desert and do some Dune related stuff, kind of, and coincide kind of with the lore of Dune a little bit. This is the Dune reference in Final Fantasy VII, so it kind of coincides. But yeah, I've been doing that. Nothing much changed on my end, so just looking forward for today's episode, and let's get edgy.
I've been trying to watch a little bit of Rebirth gameplay here and there. Not too much because I don't want to like see too much of the story, but I do pop in with people doing like open world stuff, and it looks like just such a great time. And one of the things I've noticed just from the little bit I've seen is, man, they really have made this one of the most likable casts of JRPG characters I've ever seen. And I mean, like, that's lost in a lot of games. Like sometimes they forget, while they're trying to make the characters three-dimensional, a lot of times they forget to make them likable. And I know people are like, oh, well, all characters don't need to be likable. Yeah, you can have a little bit of friction, but like if none of the characters are likable, then eventually I'm going to be like, why am I playing this? Like your plot probably isn't that good. It's probably not that compelling to where I'm willing to sit through a whole bunch of characters that I'm like, I'm either mediocre on and I don't care if they live or die, or I just actively dislike them and I hope they die. Like, but with FF7, like all the characters just exude, they ooze so much fucking charm, and I fucking love it. I can't wait till that game comes to PC. Next up, we've got the collector of collectors, the master of Twitch, Will Coleman. What's going on, Will?
It's just for me. It's just been more of a work week. I hadn't done any streaming of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but I have been going through and doing these quests, looking for these proto relics, and I ain't gonna lie, I kind of need some more of that Fort Condor.
Did you play hard mode?
I'm actually doing that. Actually, as of now, I'm doing
Okay.
those. I'm doing that. I love the Fort Condor. I love the Queen's Blood. All of that, like, and I can't wait to see what they do. They're gonna add some more to Queen's Blood. That stuff is addicting. Especially now that I got Queen's Blood down, I love it. So most of my life has been work and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Man, they did say that they were going to add to the Queen's Blade with Queen's Blood, and I was like, really? So like that just shows you just how popular that shit is right now. And of course, we've got One Punch Man, the master of combos, Devin Butts. What's popping, Devin?
Nothing much, man. Just mainly work this week. Been playing some Street Fighter on rank, still playing Ed, really enjoying. He's kind of revitalized the game for me a little bit because I have been playing Tekken mostly, but I've been playing Street Fighter 6 a lot more now. I'm trying to get Ed to master. Got some videos in the works right now, brainstorming on some stuff. It's coming weeks or two. So just trying to get that together. Actually been watching the Abbott Elementary. That show is
that back?
Yeah.
Yeah, it started back maybe like a few weeks ago, I think. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is. That show is phenomenal, man. Like it's such a hilarious show. It's got that Office vibe to it, kind of like those similar shows in that type of genre.
Yeah.
And I've been enjoying it, man. It's really dope. Been catching up on some other anime. Me and Kim caught up on Mashle, which we're loving that. And you know, it's crazy. I'll just say, since y'all talked about Final Fantasy, I've been watching Kim play it. And one of the most hilarious things I've seen so far is a little what I thought was a chocobo. What was he called? King?
Cloud Jr.
Yeah, what we thought was a chocobo. He was a duck. He's going to grow up to look like a duck, apparently, something like that. But I just the charm of something like that, man, and the fact that he was drawn to bear it. I think that juxtaposition is so funny. It's like this little chickily baby bird is like, "Hey, big black man with a gun in his arm. I like you. You look cool, man." It just reminded me of size, man. I'm not gonna say too much.
I was like, size?
Yeah, I ain't gonna say too much more because if I do, I'm gonna cry because I ain't got the game on my own yet. So, you know,
I was gonna say there are very subtle references to other Final Fantasy games. Like there's a poster in the back on some of the levels with Zell doing the dolphin punch. There's a part when I went to Gold Saucer where you go into the hotel room. It's a horror hotel room, so they're doing like horror jokes. And one of the dude at the front desk comes down wrapped up like Anima. It has his arms like this, like that's an Anima reference. That was really cool, man. They do little stuff like that all the time in this game.
I like that.
Good old Final Fantasy. We down with other RPGs, man.
Yo!
This is ironic because it's an RPG. It's like a remake of a 90s RPG.
Oh my god.
But well done. Of course, I am Sage Ashford, the man who won't shut up. If you didn't know, No Level Cap goes live every Monday morning. We're on YouTube for video fans, but if you prefer the audio version, we're live on Spotify as well. This week, I mean, I guess I should say I haven't done anything. I've played a little bit of Trails. I'm trying to wrap up Trails into Reverie, but there's a lot of post-game content, and there's like I was trying to get do the completion and shit. And I'm slowly forcing myself to realize, hey, man, there are other games coming out this year that you're going to want to get to. I do want to check out Outcast for a couple of days before Horizon hits. And then there's some other games that are also going to come out over the next A-Unit Chronicles comes out next month. So I've been trying to like, okay, maybe I can force myself to finish up Reverie within the next 3 or 4 days and then just move on. I've also been catching up with a lot of anime. I watched Solo Leveling today, solid episode, more world building than anything else. Watched a little bit of Bang Bravern, which is like, if you're a mecha fan at all, if you like mecha even a little bit, make sure you watch Bang Bravern. It's so fucking good. Every episode is just a fucking banger. Ironically. But yeah, it's so good. Like the animation's on point. The characters are cool. Like the plot is ridiculous. Like it's ridiculous. It's got that super robot ridiculousness, but it's just never ceases to be a fun watch. The episodes just kind of fly by. So, yeah, But yeah, speaking of anime, and I did watch a lot of anime because I basically binged the show we're talking about today. Today we're covering Ninja Kamui, the first 5 episodes. We know episode 6 will be out by the time this episode goes up. Forgive us. It's probably airing like as we speak,
I think
or if not, like an hour.
Technically 30 minutes is when it'll air.
Yeah, by the time this episode's over, that y'all will have seen episode 6. We're sorry. It's not our fault. They need to just go ahead and put this episode out in sub first, so we can go ahead and watch it first. But it didn't happen that way. So we all we got is the first 5 episodes for you. Anyway, I do want to know what y'all thought of the series. This is very interesting. This is an interesting show to me. I'm gonna start with Rakeem. What'd you think?
Yeah, this is an interesting show for me too. There are a lot of parallels to this anime and like traditional, like almost like 80s and 90s action films. The story of vengeance is something that's been told time and time again. And it kind of starts off as like really traditional. You have the family in the beginning, who you think is the family in the beginning. That's actually kind of a cool twist too. With Joe Logan, that was a very subtle and not subtle joke there. With Joe Logan, with his family, his loving family, and they're having their time together, and they're hearing about all these murders, and the wife is like, "Hey, they're killing." He's like, "They ain't gonna find us. Don't worry about it." When I tell you I saw so many death flags, it was screaming at me. It was like there was a ghost with a flag waving it hard in my back. I'm like, this family finna get murked. And then they did the montage. When they did the montage, I knew it was up. When the montage happened, like the love family montage, they having a good time. It was up. And even the beginning of this anime, before we even get to the main character, when they started with the guy on the train, it reminded me of that skit RDC World did a long time ago, but how an anime just get to hand so fast, even though you know what the fuck going on. Because that man was on that train for like 2 seconds. How you know I was here? And all of a sudden, just hands, just fighting, just going at it, just murder. Dude get murked, killed, was beheaded. I was like, what is going on? I was a little confused. So there's a couple things I can say about this. Early on, it's a very traditional story. Joe Logan, who you find out is the cover of this Japanese assassin from this ninja clan, had left his ninja clan behind and tried to get away from that life, and it came back to catch up with him, and they tried to assassinate him and end up killing his family. And that is the juxtaposition for his vengeance and him trying to go back at the ninja clan that attacked him. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I always hate that plot setup, because once you kill the family, it's basically like, okay, he's just going to kill him now. There's not going to be a lot of nuance to this. It's not going to be very super interesting. He's going to be angsty and angry. And the protagonist, what's his code name? Inma?
Joe Higan.
Higan, that's it. Higan, he's not very likable once you get past the family part. The family part, he's like, okay, he's a good father. Then he dies, and it's just like the most traditional, bare bones, edgelord. I'm gonna kill them all. They're all gonna die. And he even has the raspy voice every time. They're all going down, man. And so that first episode where it comes from like his family getting killed and him waking up in the hospital miraculously, even though he should have died too because of the technique he used on himself. That kind of had me like, the action in this anime is cool, but I think it's gonna be lacking. However, I will say the introduction of the FBI agents was kind of cool. The FBI agent, Mike Morris, immediately as I saw him when he was talking to him, it felt like I was watching a detective from The Wire drop down in the anime. Like just his character, the things going on, how he's trying to push this case and his superiors are trying to get him off it, and he's doing it behind their back. Just reminds me like a setup of like a detective from The Wire who's in over his head. I kind of like that juxtaposition of Mike Morris, who's traditional justice, and then you have Egon, who was like all vengeance. So there's this dichotomy of these protagonists there, where like Egon's bent just solely on vengeance now that his family's been killed, and Mike is trying to like, hey man, after this is up, you still getting arrested because you can't just go around killing everybody. You slaughter like 50 people. I can't let that go. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Hey. It reminded me low-key of Lloyd from Trails of Zero. This is just like, he's way in over his head. I mean, like, this is clearly outside the bounds of traditional law, and still he's just a fucking police officer. He just like, hey, you under arrest. when it's all over with, you under arrest for murder. Like, bro, these ninjas, I don't care. You killed some people. I seen it. You go in jail.
Man, he is on that, and it's kind of cool how that character got some character development in the show. When you saw how he lost his family because he ignored his wife, focused on the job so much. He was so engrossed in it, which you kind of see that in detective stories all the time. When a detective is just so enthralled in the case, that becomes his world, that becomes his life. He ignores his family and destroys his work-life balance. And we see that happen a lot with detectives in movies and television shows. And this is kind of a representation of that. And I think that dichotomy between him and Egon actually does a lot for me. Because if it was just Egon killing people, I'm not gonna lie, it would be kind of just really boring.
It would be.
The best thing I say about this anime is that the animation for the action scenes is really good. It borders on the obscene with the amount of blood and decapitation, and it feels like watching Ninja Assassin if you watch the movie Ninja Assassin back in the day, where it's just like a whole bunch of action and just murder and killing, but it's kind of like a dance of it. It's almost like it's beautiful death. You know what I'm saying? Like they make it kind of a spectacle. There are a lot of subtle things I enjoy as well. I like that this is kind of a time capsule of what's going on in today's society with the technology, where like there are points where you see people doing VR, and you see when the guy goes into the restaurant, when Egon meets the detective in the restaurant for the first time, and it's just nobody's in there, everybody's door dashing. Very subtle stuff like that I thought was really cool. And even though one of the assassins turned out to be one of the DoorDash guys.
Like a good, not only commentary, like you said, but like just a good comedy beat. Because like they were in the middle of a conversation, bro had his gun out the whole time, and the DoorDash people are so engrossed in their own lives and just trying to get that next delivery out. They don't know and they don't care. They just grab the stuff and get out of there. And it's like, and finally that assassin walked in, and you knew it was coming, but like the first two times set it up beautifully.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Little stuff like that. I also like the fact that there's this weird, well, not weird, but like there's this the face of the villains of this story, where of course you have the Ninja Clan as like the big villain who assassinated him, but the corporation that's supporting the Ninja Clan and the head of it is just a tech bro. Like a traditional Silicon Valley with the earpieces here, Mark Zuckerberg type tech bro. And he's doing all normal stuff. He's on his treadmill while people are getting assassinated. He's always smiling. He's making calls to kill people on one hand and just laughing and shaking people's hands in the other. I thought that was a very clever way to do a villain.
That Dark Knight Rises moment is coming, though. You can feel it. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, that one moment over me? Yeah.
Yes, thank you. That moment sticks with me so much because it was just such a cold moment where the rich dude's talking all this shit to an actual supervillain, terrorist murderer, and he's like, you feel like you have power over me. And he just put his hand on the dude's shoulders. Do you feel powerful right now? Like, that moment's coming for that character. What's up, King?
And also, I don't know if you guys watched the sub or the dub version of it, but Devin made a great point when we were watching it together. The voice actor for the boss ninja, the main villain ninja, is the voice actor from Soul Calibur. Like we heard his voice, I was like, "That's a Soul Calibur guy." That did like the narrator. Like that was pretty cool.
I did not catch that till now. Oh my god!
On the stage of time type dude.
Yes, that dude from the stage of victory where winds meet. Battle 1. That guy. Like I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." I was like, "That's pretty cool."
I didn't even know he was still getting work. Okay.
That was pretty. Like I didn't notice it until you like started talking. Like, hey, it's absolutely him. They've had different ones. I think it's the one from 6. But that was pretty cool. But yeah, little stuff like that is kind of clever. I think there are like some interesting commentaries on like how our society is running now. I've had conversations with people about what will be the telltale marks of our era now in the 2020s. You know how like the 90s has a theme, a kind of style. The 80s had a kind of style. I feel like the 2020s is kind of the era of tech. Like tech is like the big thing of this era that kind of like is emphasized. And I think this Ninja Kamui is a great time capsule of what's happening in the 2020s. And that kind of like subtlety in the background is well done. I think it's actually pretty cool. However, I think my big gripe with this is just this, like everything else is just the main character and the story. It's just kind of okay. Like I just feel like everything's just okay. It's not pushing the envelope enough with the storytelling. The action is really good. But even then, I don't feel like it's pushing the envelope that much where it can overcome how kind of generic the tone of the story is so far. At least in the first couple episodes, the villain group was introduced, and like they have this really horny dude who's kind of makes things awkward. They have this overly stereotypical black dude with a high top. I'm like,
get
I don't
that
know what's going
midget
on.
the fuck up out of here.
I don't know what's going on with that.
I apologize. I think it's little people. Get that little person the fuck up out of here, bro. Because I'm tired of like you. He's gonna be begging to suck it. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're a murderer. Like, what? Stop talking all this weird shit.
That man said he gonna bend over for me. Like, yo, bro. Like,
you know what was crazy? When the actual villain got fed up, he was like, "Look, man, shut up," and started doing that force choke.
That is a good point.
Yeah.
The main villain, I ain't gonna lie, I kind of want to see what he gotta do because he don't put up with none of that bullshit. He'd be quiet. He'd be like, they be saying all this nonsense. He'd be like, all right, they doing that bullshit. Let's get to this real shit. Like, I kind of want to see what he's talking about. I will say this: what was kind of intriguing was like the way that the show was going. It felt like I didn't know how many episodes the show was going to be because I was watching kind of blind. But the way the episodes were going, it felt like the guy was slowly getting to the climax. And then if you watch episode 5, which is most recent episode we watched so far, he gets his ass beat.
Well, it was kind of like he got like,
jumped.
You could tell, but also like you could kind of tell it was coming because he was getting more and more like, I don't care. He was like, I don't give a damn. Like, I just want to fight. And then finally, like, he wasn't even trying to fight them dudes. He seen the dude that he was really trying to kill, and he was like, I'm trying to kill him. I don't care about none of this other shit. And the other dudes was like, that's cool, but like, you're not going to just ignore us. And then they just beat the hell out of him. And he was like, well, I guess if I can't kill the guy that's in front of me, I'm going to quit. I'm like, all right, I suppose.
That's stuff like that. I'm just not really feeling Egon as the protagonist. I think it's one of my main gripes with this show. And the action and even the beauty of the action and how well it's done is not overcoming that for me. I like the side characters. I think Mike's background story and things he's going on, him kind of doing a case in the background. There's some intrigue now with Emma. Like, we don't know if she totally on their side. There's some more information with her as Mike's sidekick and backup detective, and they seem to have a really good relationship with it coming to turmoil. That kind of stuff is interesting. But overall, I just think so far, for me personally, I feel like this is an okay anime so far. I almost feel like this would have been better as a movie. Like, watching the episodes I've watched so far, I feel like if you had condensed this into a movie form and amped up even the quality of the animation, I think it made maybe an overall better project for me personally. This kind of felt that way, like with the beats of it. Like, cut certain parts and kind of phrase it into a movie. Now, I haven't seen the whole anime yet, so I have to see how the full product goes. But going so far, it'd be kind of cool to see this just as a film version for me personally. But I just think it's so far like kind of middle of the road. If I would give it a rating, maybe like a 7. It's just not doing a lot for me. For the story, the action is good. There are some interesting parts of some characters I like, but overall, it's kind of average, kind of generic in some of its areas.
Right.
I hope that other episodes after this can do some more. We'll talk about that later, but just how I'm feeling right now, I'm just kind of average.
Okay. Terrence, where do you stand on this?
So, I definitely see where Rakeem is coming from because, I mean, I'm sure you all recall I said that this is definitely nothing complex. It is nothing that's like life-changing or has like a plot that is going to send your mind into a spiral and have you thinking about it from like the sun up to the sun down. It's definitely not that. If anything, it reminds me of, Rakeem, you mentioned like 80s and 90s. If anything, what it really reminds me of is the 2000s era of anime that we would get on like Tech TV, Encore, Showtime, those anything that wasn't Toonami / Adult Swim, essentially. Stuff like Hellsing, Samurai Deeper Kyo, Ergo Proxy, Soul Taker, etc. Like, this reminds me of those type of anime where it's more, I would say grounded, but grounded in the sense of it feels a bit more true to real life than what's more in like high fantasy anime. I guess what I'm getting at is like nowadays for anime, a lot of anime is just pretty much just high fantasy, whether it's isekai or they're in a dungeon or it's just straight up something that's fantasy related. That's pretty much just the big genre that anime has latched on to now is fantasy. Whereas in the 2000s, a lot of stuff was a bit more, it would still be fantastical in its own way, but it would be a bit more grounded and a little bit more gritty, and that's where this falls in. So I feel like this is the type of show that we definitely would have gotten in the West in the 2000s because it's what would have been considered like U.S. market friendly. Like it's not too anime that it's weird or it's like off-putting. It's very much the opposite of something like Boba 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 Bo, if you get what I mean. Like that is like full-on anime, real Japanese to its core, whereas something like this, it feels a bit more American. And I can see why they went that direction because Adult Swim or William Street Productions, they're executive producing this, and this was done by one of the guys who originally worked with MAPPA as like one of the directors of Sung Ho Park. Yeah, he worked on Jujutsu Kaisen 0 and some other stuff with MAPPA, and he went off and started his own studio, and so that studio is what's working on this. And I will say that I agree with you, Rakeem, that I think this show's weakness is that it is nothing complex. It's not something that I think is going to stick with you long term, but for what it is, I think it is enjoyable. I think that the action is well done. Like the fight scenes are pretty good for what we get. It's nothing that's on the level of like a Jujutsu Kaisen or like God of High School or something like that, where it's just like straight up just Sakuga. It's a bit more grounded in its animation and its approach, but it's still very clean. What's up?
I wanted to say, in turn to your conversation about like how the animation looks, the fight scenes almost remind me of that era of YouTube where we had like the action kind of era in the mid 2000s, late 2000s, like
Dead
Monty
Fantasy.
videos, Dead Fantasy.
Oh.
Those how those fight scenes kind of feel to me. We just like kind of like everybody's coming at you over the top, kind of, but kind of grounded in martial arts and technique.
Like something that would have been animated by Monty Oum.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, definitely. I will say that I do agree that he's definitely the type of guy where it's like, you kill my family, now I'm gonna pretty much just make you pay. I mean, as the opening, with shout outs to Cold Rain, it's cool to see them on another anime. They were
I'm glad that opening is cold. I was like, dang, it's nice to have Cold Rain back.
Yeah, I mean, they did Mayday for Fire Force, even though the actual like OP visuals for that are like so mismatched. Like the actual opening itself, Mayday, like that opening is fire. And they did opening for another show that I can't think of. It was a death game anime of some kind. But anyway, it's cool to see them back on a anime. But yeah, Higan is nothing complex. I do like Mike. Mike is a cool character, and like you mentioned, Rakeem, I like the dichotomy of how Mike essentially turned his back on his family, and that resulted in the situation that he's in. Whereas he pursued a family, and that's resulted in the situation that he's in. So it's a very much an opposites kind of thing, and seeing how they've gotten down to the same path, kind of doing like the opposite things. Even Mike himself makes note of that, and I think the most recent episode, which I will say that episode 1, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. They kill his family, then he's like, well, I'm going to make you pay kind of thing. Then as it goes, you kind of see just little bits of world building that are added to it as we go along, whether it's with the Alza, which is essentially just meta. As we pointed out, I mean, it's Mike Zuckerberg, like Elon Musk, Tesla, that sort of guy. Then you have the Ninja Clan. And I will say that episode 5, I feel like episode 5 might be the one that's, in my opinion, probably the best in terms of really setting you up for not knowing where the show is going to go, because now we have it where Higan has essentially been knocked out. He pretty much tried to go berserk, and it did not work in his favor at all. Zai, who I pretty much figured he was going to be the one to he hadn't turned his back fully on Higan. I figured that he was going to save him in some capacity. Who knows? Who's supposed to be in that pink suit?
It's the black chick with the braids.
Yeah, it's not revealed.
Did they show that?
Oh, I
never
assumed
showed that though. Who was in there though?
Okay,
No.
I thought so. I didn't think they showed who that
short
was.
Guy. They showed the dude with the high top. They didn't show who was in that one though.
Okay, that's what I thought. Which I wonder if maybe
point.
there's a twist on that as well. So that could be very interesting. Yeah, I like the way that episode 5 left off, because that has given us the most mystery out of all the episodes so far. I'm very interested actually to watch episode 6 to see where the series goes. But I do agree with Rakeem that I don't think this anime is anything that's like stand out or special. But if you like cool action, you know, you want to turn your brain off and not get into like a complex plot or anything like that, I think this is a fun time, and I actually think that this is a win for Adult Swim because it's been doing pretty well for them, to my understanding. So somebody out there must like it if it's being watched quite a bit on Max. Yeah, I think it's fine. I don't think it's a bad show, but it's not something that's like going to be considered anime of the year. I'll put it that way. So, once we're done with it, well, I know once I finish it, depending on where it goes, probably one of those anime where it's like, yeah, that was a good time, and then I probably won't think about it too much after that. So I'm along the lines of Rakeem, maybe about a 7 out of 10. Maybe I lean a little bit higher, maybe like 7.5. But I do agree that, it's nothing that's like going to stand out in the long term. Like when we get to the end of this decade and we're talking about best anime of the decade, just so far based on where we are now. Now this show could turn maybe like into a masterpiece after this point and like add something that like is totally mind bending, but just based on where we are right now, when we get to like the end of the decade, I don't think this is the type of anime that we're going to say was like on like the top 100 anime of the 2020s kind of thing. So yeah, that's pretty much my take on it.
If last decade is anything to go by, the anime of the decade is going to be an anime from 2029. So what does it matter?
Yeah. That's definitely
got the memory of goldfish.
It's funny. I was just real quick. I saw a tweet a few days ago where they talked about how there was this. It was actually the anime that you really liked, Sage. Blood Blockade. Is that right? Yeah. They were talking about. There was a clip of it that was going viral on Twitter. And people were talking, there was this person talking about how like, man, this animation was so great for an anime that nobody remembers. And then one of the person commented on it saying like, this was one of the most popular anime of the year when it came out. I know that like anime fans have the memory of a goldfish because of like the seasonal format and how much it's chunked at us, but don't think that this wasn't something that wasn't memorable. But yeah, that just goes with your point about how, we have this recency bias when it comes to a lot of shows.
Will, where do you stand, bro? What do you think about it?
Me, well, I ain't gonna lie to you. The way it started out, I won't lie to you. I was definitely thrown by how it started in the subway and homeboy just got murked in the alleyway. And I was just like, okay, we done started real fast, so we gonna get right to it. But then it did the family thing, and I'm just like, oh, okay, this is a nice slowdown. And I didn't expect like the little detail they threw in there with after they got killed, after the wife and the kid got killed, and they had like this little like thing like malfunction. I'm like, wait, is that a disguise or something?
Yeah. That was really cool. I ain't gonna lie, that was really cool.
I did like that technology. I thought that was dope.
Yeah, I thought that was really dope too. And I was like, are these like robots or something? It threw me for a second until I seen him mess with it later. But so far, I think Higan is a somewhat character because, like y'all said, he's like one straight line. He's like a straight line. Like, you killed my family, now I gotta come get every one of y'all. I gotta pick every one of y'all off now until I'm satisfied. And now he's with the detective who's just like, I had to leave mine behind to do what I'm doing. So maybe I can help you do this the right way instead of you having to go and leave behind a trail of blood and guts everywhere. Because I could take you in, but I work with you if I have to. You're a weirdo, but we here. So, but it's such a straightforward show, and the animation is really good, especially in the fights. And everything from when that team of like assassins pulled up with all the pistols shooting up the shop, the rocket launcher, the DoorDasher coming in with his ninjutsu and all this, the double sword, the clone, all of that. I thought all of that was like really dope. I thought all that was really cool. But then I just sit back and I think to myself, I know this show gonna get a lot of talk because of what it's doing with the fight scenes and the animation, because that's what a lot of people face towards. They face towards a lot of the cool shit. And I understand that for a show that's like this. So I'm not gonna knock nobody that likes it, because right now I like it. But I don't see it being like big time anime of the year thing unless it turns over like something different, because this most recent episode with 5 with this thing that they're doing, what's about to happen? Just like Terrence said, it's setting us up for something that we don't know what's even happening right now, because our main character, well, he ain't looking like the main character no more. So just point it out, but it's got a chance to do something cool here. If not, it can just stay on the straightforward path that it's on. As of now, it's cool to sit down and watch. I give it about a 6.5 or a 7. If the next however many episodes it has because this feels like it could go for maybe 12, maybe
It's
15, maybe a little. It's 12. Okay, it's going for 12. So for the 12 episodes that it has, it could do something completely different in the second half and have me being like, okay, this show was a hell of a lot better than I thought it was. Or it could just stay on the straight and narrow path and be just a 7 out of 10 show.
This what I hate, and this is why I'm so I was like, surely I wouldn't get we're not gonna get hoed like this. But like this is exactly the shit that I was afraid of. Because like the ending of episode 5 very much feels like, okay, this is where the show, this is what's going to decide whether that show's good or bad.
It
like,
is.
Or I won't say bad, but like good or just mid, right?
Yeah.
Just at the end of episode 5, it's like, okay, well, he's tried to like there was a chance for a little bit where it was like he was just gonna steamroll his way through everybody because he was the coolest ninja, the best ninja there ever was, and he's gonna fight everybody. And shit went left the second he tried to get into that city. And like, not only did he get caught by the guards, which is already not a good sign, but then he got where he needed to be to get into the city. And then was it the Reaper Zai?
Yeah,
was
Zai.
like, man, that's as far as you go. And then like that, he had like that 5-second window to get in, and it was like, nope, that's enough of that. And then after that, it was all downhill. It's like, oh, they're gonna let you into the city. They just gonna beat the hell out of you. You probably shouldn't go. I'm going anyway. I don't care. I want to get what I want. And ever since then, like it's like, okay, well now he's starting to actually face like problems and shit. And so now, like the way episode 5 ended is the thing that I'm like, fuck, this is not what I wanted. Because like episode 6 could completely change this shit based on like who saved him, what he learns about it, where like if he's gonna work with some people, like all that shit. Like I really wish that episode 6, like we could have got to episode 6 before this. I didn't know that it's gonna be like this. In fact, actually, because I marathoned it, I think everybody, but Terrence, you were watching this the whole time, right?
I assume I watched it before you all, since I was the one that brought it up.
Well, I mean, like, when did you see episode 5?
Today.
Okay.
I watched episode 4 and 5 today just because, I just figured I'd just go ahead and watch them, keep it kind of fresh.
We were all in the same boat then. Because I, like, ultimately, like, if I had been watching this along the way and saw episode 5 last week, I would have punt kicked this episode. I would have punt kicked this particular podcast the next week. I'd have been like, nah, because, like, I need to see what happens. Because, like, there's a good chance that this show kind of turns it around. And I guess I'll go and say, like, man, first off, this Steven Seagal last opening, man, I was watching this shit. I'm like, this looks familiar to the motherfucker. And like I was sitting there finally, while y'all was talking, I had to Google it. I was like, Steven Seagal movie where his family got killed, and it was like hard to kill. I'm like, that's it. This is just hard. The opening is just hard to kill. It's like his family, like he was doing some shit he had no business doing, which is true, not true. Like it don't quite line up, but like he was doing some shit he had no business doing. He finally got caught up. He almost died. He didn't die. And now he's on a tour for revenge. I'm like, man, if you don't get this shit out of here, like that first episode, I was like, I'm not with this. And talk about a show, at least for the first few episodes. You know how they say, oh man, Demon Slayer is carried by its animation. This show is carried by its fight scenes. Hard carried. Without great animation to its fight scenes, this show is less than nothing. There is nothing to it. Like with Demon Slayer, it's not hard carried by its animation because like the characters are cool. There's a compelling plot. I like Tanjiro as a protagonist quite a bit, actually. The different designs of the characters, all that shit is cool. And then like also just the story of how these people get turned into demons is like generally pretty fascinating. And like the compassion that Tanjiro has for like all the people he fights. This show, it ain't got none of that. This show feels like when I was in high school, and this is a real story. This feels like when I was in high school and I was trying to write stories and shit, and so much of my world building was coming up with cool attacks and what the attacks did and how much damage they do and how they fuck up the enemies and choreographic fight scenes, and all the characters I wrote were just there. Yeah, they exist. Like I agree. I think it was Terrence that said it feels like a 2000s anime, especially because like the protagonists in a lot of those 2000 animes were like kind of edgy. Yeah. I know Keem said like Joe Higan is not likable. I won't say he's not likable. He's just nothing. Like there's just nothing there. Like he's like, oh, I want revenge, and it's like, all right, good luck with that, Aiden Pierce. Like you tell me how that plays out. Like he's one note. There are parts. If you look really closely, there's things like, oh, he's working with Mike, and it's like, why is he working with Mike? And why is he working with Emma and shit? And some of that is basically he's to his core, he just doesn't follow those core tenets of don't get close to anybody. Like
Right.
even now, after losing his family, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna still work with people. And cause like Mike and Emma, like they ain't nothing they've done, he couldn't have done for himself. Right? Like if you got that much talent and he had that one dude that he worked with for like one episode, the old man, if you've got that much talent, like you didn't need them. You didn't need the FBI. You could have figured all this shit out on your own. But he still worked with them because I guess at the core of him, he's like, oh, I still realize that like you can't stand alone. You need people. So if you look close enough, you can see that. But that's not expressively brought up in the text. It's just there. And I'm like, all right, I guess. I will say there are some cool, like the world building that is there, like the attack names and characters and all that shit. It's kind of cool. I did like that. I forget if it was episode 2, start episode 2 or episode 3, where there's like this part where like the quote at the beginning where they trying to show you the ninja clan, and it's like, we're doing this for the good of Japan. We don't teach outsiders. And then 2 seconds later, we about to start teaching outsiders. It's like,
Bro, that was so funny.
What the fuck?
That buddy talk, boy. That
Boy,
buddy was
did
talking.
it. That's when you knew, like, okay, they went off, like, they were supposed to be about that life, and then very quickly, they was like, we not about that life, buddy. Like, we didn't realize how much money y'all actually had, and we appreciate that. One of the things, this show, it really could have been, I would fuck with it more if they had done a few things differently here and there. Like, one thing I'll say is I wish the mom had lived, because a mom and dad, like a mother and father revenge story would have been so much more, like, it's something new. I've never seen that before, and it would be cool to see like the mother and father on some like revenge type shit. Actually, I have seen it kind of sort of.
Assassin's Creed Origins.
Thank you. That was exactly what I was going to say. I've seen it before in that, but like it's so rare that I can only think of that one example, and it would be cool to see something like that done in anime where they're just like working together, and she may still be alive. I don't know. Like it remains to be seen. There is some stuff like the hidden jutsus and shit. We don't know what they are. We don't know what hers was, if she taught it to him. Like the fact that he lived, it's like that's very curious. It's like, well, why did he live? And they did kind of say like maybe it's the jutsu that he knows. It's like, well, who knows? So we'll see. Another thing I wish they would do is some more stuff, and this may actually be happening as we speak. Maybe I wish they would do more stuff with the exiled ninja. It's just been him. It's just been Joe Higan this whole time. And I'm like, all right, man, look, if there are all these exiled ninja, and to be fair, one of them showed up and was like, yeah, before he died like a bitch. And one thing I'll say, I hated the mask thing because I couldn't tell who the fuck was talking at first. But it was like the exiled ninja fighting the Reaper, and he was just like, yeah, I heard y'all try to kill Joe Higan, and it didn't work. And, you know, he's out there fighting, and that right there is going to give us the spirit, and we going to keep fighting too, and blah, blah, blah. And he died immediately. But, like, at least you knew that there was more than one out there. And I'm like, I need to see, like, a community of exiled ninja and see y'all work together or some shit. And that could take this to the next level. One thing I'll say, Rakeem, I was letting you talk, but I disagree with the thing about the movie thing. This would be so rushed as a movie. The paper thin characters would be even more paper thin. Because you have to take out some of the time that you have to develop characters. That shit will be gone, and it'd just be like, it probably would be what we thought, what I said it was going to be, where he just steamrolls everybody. Because like it's almost like a John Wick type ass story where it's just like, hey man, you shouldn't fuck with this dude. Because even when he lost, like, I don't know about y'all, I got the sense he didn't lose because he wasn't good enough. I got the sense he lost because he lost sight of what he was trying to do. He wasn't focused.
Yeah, like lost in the rage kind of thing.
Yeah, he was so, and then like even when he was fighting, like he was like, "Finna join y'all soon." I'm like, okay, so you already just thinking about death. You're not really thinking about fighting. Like if you had stayed focused on the mission and fought them dudes, you might could have won. And like we'll see how that plays out later. Like maybe they really got something, but from what I felt, it felt like he just wasn't focused. And so like I still think that maybe he goes back to steamrolling once he gets his mind focused again. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, like, this was like one of the more hyped animes of the season, so I did want to check it out to see what people was talking about. But I also felt like this little bit of reluctance because I was like, man, it's just no hook for me there, and it's just like it didn't feel like something where I felt like I had to watch it right then. And then like as I was sitting down to watch it this morning, because I just marathoned all 5 episodes at like 7 in the morning. I was like, I'll just see what they're talking about. The first episode was like, man, if this wasn't for the podcast, I probably would be like, I've had enough. You know, like it would have to really like it was like what was we when we was talking last week, me and you, Terrence, was like, well, depending on the buzz, like man, I had to get the buzz directly from y'all, the people I fuck with the most, because otherwise I'd be like, everybody be like, this show's the truth. Yeah, whatever. I seen that first episode. It's not like that. Like that the action scenes is cool, but you can get cool action in a lot of anime, and they have better characters and better stories and shit like that. And so like action alone is not gonna get me there, unless you're talking about literally John Wick, which is like an achievement from like a stunt perspective and cinematography and all of that shit. And that's just like not a lot of shows can do that. Not a lot of movies can do that. That's a different level of artistry. This isn't that. The action scenes are cool, but they're not. It's not unprecedented what I'm seeing. I've seen cooler stuff. This really just feels like a mix between like ninja. It's really new age cyberpunk Ninja Scroll. That's what this is.
That's what I was thinking while I was watching it.
I was watching this shit. I'm like, oh, this is just Ninja Scroll in the future. And there's a little bit of cyberpunk commentary, a little bit. But I'm kind of tired of. I'm like, hey man, like I need more. I need us to evolve the commentary. Like if that's what people are gonna say, oh, there is some deeper stuff there. Like, yeah, but it's well tread ground and you're not saying anything new on that ground. So I need a little bit more. Maybe the next 7 episodes do give that to us. I don't know. Like I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, this anime is 1000% for sure trash. It's 7 more episodes. And I would definitely feel more confident if I had seen episode 6. But since we haven't, all I can do is give it like a 7 point. I would go 6.5, but I'm not quite there. It's just because I hate to rate a show in the middle anyway. So right now I'm gonna just say it's a 7, and we're just gonna let it rock. Devin, how do you feel about this show?
I actually enjoyed what I watched. Because when I saw the first episode through, I already knew what was going on. This is the same thing I said about Redline. Like you go into this, you don't go into this once you see what's going on. It's like, okay, let me lower any expectations of something like super deep, at least for now, because we haven't finished it, but at least for now, it's like there's nothing super deep going on right now. Redline is just a movie. It's action. We going fast, stuff blowing up, boom, big kaijus at the end. All right, movie done. That's what that movie was. It was just a good viewing experience. And I think that's what they were going for with this. I think Terrence hit the nail on the head with the 2000s anime, the MTV style stuff. I kind of feel like this is like more for adults. Even Sage mentioned like, what's the movie you said with Steven Seagal?
Hard to Kill.
Man, that's when I saw his look. I was like, he looked kind of like a Brad Pitt like arch type. I'm like, I saw is again. I'm like, okay, we out at a secluded farm, family having a good time, going to get groceries. When I saw him wipe off that door handle, I'm like, oh yeah, something. He's been in something, and he's like trying to get away from something. Oh, it's happy birthday, son. Oh, he got a Nintendo Switch. Cool.
Man, I ain't lying. Like Rakeem was Rakeem was on point when he said, yeah, it's a countdown to these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Dead as fuck.
Yeah, that's I mean, when that's the same thing. I'm like, okay, yeah, this I mean, I knew this. And like you said, that arch type of movie has been done so many times. I don't know if that was the first one to do it, but no remorse. I mean, without remorse with Michael B. Jordan. The almost the exact same start. He gets supposedly killed. He doesn't die. His family gets killed. Nobody. I don't know if they get. I didn't see that, but I know that's what that was about. Like this guy, he was into something, and now he's trying to just have a family. They're like, nah. He's like, well, I still got these hands, so let's go. So yeah, it was. And when it's cut to nighttime, I was like, oh yeah, here we go. He gets up out in the middle of the night. She's like, what's wrong, honey? He's like, just stay here. I'm like, yeah, here we go. They see the window. He look at it, ain't nothing out there. All of a sudden, he's like, see the red house. Like, yeah, there we go. Let's go. So again, like I enjoy the fight scenes. I will say the beginning was like it was just like press start. Like a minute later, hands. Like, whoa. I mean, I like it, but man, like, I was like, yo, like this. But again, that's when I saw what this was. I'm like, okay, this is what this is. Even Sage mentioned Cyberpunk. It kind of had the Cyberpunk vibe. The dude, what was the dude at the beginning? McKean, you said kind of looked like somebody from Medical Revengeance.
Like Jeffrey Sam.
I
The
know
guy
who
that
you
killed
talking
his
about
family.
because I seen him. I thought he looked like
Yeah.
Sundowner.
The guy,
Yeah,
he looked
yeah.
like Sundowner.
Sundowner.
Yeah, you're talking about the
Yeah,
guys
that's
who
what
he
it
ended
looks
up stringing up to interrogate information out of him, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the one that killed his
Yeah.
family.
He didn't get no information on that dude. He was
Oh yeah, he
trying
ain't
to
get
kill that
nothing.
He didn't want no information.
He want no information.
He wanted his
Yeah.
life.
That
He
was
was mad.
that got uncomfortable after a while. I was like, God
Yeah.
damn, like let's
I mean,
wrap this all up.
I mean,
Yeah, that was wild.
Bro, take his soul.
he kind of reminded me of Adam Smasher a little bit, just his look and like that
Yeah.
cyberpunk vibe. But again, like Rakeem said, this when you do this, you kind of hard to get away from it. But I mean, that's what that is. Like you got to imagine somebody kill your family in cold blood right there. Like at that point, there's no anything stopping you. Like I like you catching these hands. I don't care what happened to me. I'm gonna try my damnness. I'm gonna try.
Yeah, but you know what though? Like at some point I want and damn, I may have to write this myself. Shit, I just want to do to like go fucking villain, but not like villain as in I'm killing everybody, but like revenge is a dish best served cold. Like I'm not gonna take no L's. I'm not consumed with rage. Like I just want to, like the only way I'll ever be sated is just seeing y'all lose. So like I'm not gonna sit up and have no moment where I'm gonna go berserk. Nah, I ain't no berserk. It's just gonna be me doing some fucked up cold shit where like people just start dying for no reason. You're like, how the fuck is this happening? It's like, yeah, y'all should have left me the fuck alone. Like, I need to see somebody like that.
I mean, there are some without remorse.
So like, take it.
You remember the scene where Michael B. Jordan was in the car with that dude and he put the grenade in the car? Like, I think that's what that was. That was one of them.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen Without
Yeah,
Remorse.
I watched it. It was all right, but that scene, I remember that scene. He was in that car with that dude.
That's the problem. Most of the time when we talk about these revenge stories, it's the same thing that Devin just said. It's all right. It's like, like very rarely are they like, this one of my favorite films of all time. It's all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, like I say, you know what it's like, because like with Michael B. Jordan, that scene, he was in like the prison. He had like something on his hand. You know it's just gonna be some action. It ain't gonna be too much on the story. Hey, I know what I'm here. I know what I signed up for.
Rakeem, you got an exception?
I want to say maybe an exception, but one I really liked personally, ironically, was Faster with The Rock, because that revenge story, boy, he was not playing, and he took them down one by one. He let one dude live. He had changed his life.
Even the dude,
but that was it.
The dude from what's the movie we watched? V. What was this? What was that movie we watched? Why am I blanking on that?
You talking about with the vampires?
The dude, he was like a soldier. He had been like kind of
Vendetta.
No, the anime movie we watched.
Vampire Hunter D.
Vampire.
No, it wasn't Vampire Hunter D. Man, why am I blanking
Wait,
on
you're not
the
talking
name
about
of
Wicked City, are you?
Yes, Wicked City.
Oh.
Wasn't that the guy that he was a soldier? They had like he had done some stuff to him. He was on his revenge story, and he was just like, "Look, I don't care." What we watched?
I don't think that Wicked City. I don't sound like Wicked City.
I don't know why I'm
There's a lot of
blanking
fucking in Wicked City. That's really all I
I don't know why I'm blanking on the name of that movie.
Whole lot.
Yeah.
for no reason. You know?
Oh my God.
Funny for no reason.
Not Wicked City. Why am I blanking on Perfect Blue?
Gun.
One of the guy that the other guy. On my trip,
The killer.
It was like a guy.
No,
he was a
not
soldier. Like he had been messed up, and he was like trying to get my revenge on these people.
That's
he
definitely
kinda-
not Perfect Blue.
Yeah, definitely in Perfect Blue.
Let me look at the
I don't
movies
know-
that we've done.
I don't know
and
why
I'll
I'm
tell
thinking
you.
about Wicked City, but I
yeah,
don't
let's see
think
what
that's
we
Wicked City.
did.
That might have been something you
I don't
watched
think
off
it was
stream.
Wicked City.
I was gonna say you watched that off stream.
No, we definitely did a review of this.
Off
Okay.
stream, sir.
We watched-
I
we did
was
a
just watching
review
this
of this.
movie.
His name was V. Like it started with a V or something.
With a V. Podcast viewers, if you've watched all our podcasts,
I don't
report in
know
the
why I'm
comments
blanking on-
what the
I don't
movie you
think-
talking about.
Wicked City is a movie I feel
I
like
know,
I'm
right?
thinking about.
No,
Well,
it
you're
ain't
not
Wicked
talking
City,
about
bro.
Cowboy Bebop, are you?
Maybe.
You are talking on. You talking about
Yes.
knocking on heaven's door.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Oh,
Okay.
Vicious. Not Vicious.
Yeah.
Well, not
No, not
vicious, but
Vicious.
the
Vincent.
not vicious.
Vin-
yeah,
Yeah.
Vincent.
Yeah, not Vicious.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like one of them high stylized. I was like dark. I was like, we watched
What
so
about
many.
Starlight Dark?
Cyberpunk,
Cyberpunk, modern
yeah,
day.
yeah, exactly in that realm. But yeah, man, this is actually I want to say we talked about Vampire Hunter D, and I think Sage was like, man, he didn't go up in there. He couldn't just go in there and man, this was not a Vampire Hunter D. Vampire man D ran up in there with like 5 minutes. He ran through that castle. He ran through everybody, and was like, all right, we got he did. He can do that at the beginning.
He's getting drained for a day or whatever. What's
Oh,
going
well,
on
yeah.
in the first?
Oh my god,
Man, I'm just not realizing how horny that creator is.
Yeah.
He pretty horny.
He did it for like a little bit up until he got to like that right till he almost made it through the gate, which I mentioned to Rakeem, and I think Terrence will maybe see this. That segment was really like Ghost Runner because there was a lot of parkour, the music, even the mask, and it was like he was dodging stuff. I'm like, I feel like there was a lot of inspiration from like Metal Gear Solid for sure. I cannot see them because Metal Gear Solid 2 and 4 was even the technology they had to like camo their faces. That was similar to Metal Gear Solid 2 when he like Snake jumps on that tanker and the thing like starts, the electricity comes off his suit. Even the designs of like the villain group, the short dude.
The short dude definitely looks like a Metal Gear Solid villain.
And even like their mech suits was kind of like a Warframe kind of vibe to
Definitely.
them. Yeah.
That was cool actually.
Yeah.
Actually, they reminded me of something specific. They reminded me of something specific, but I can't now remember the designs were like really specific, something I remember.
In some ways, it kind of remind me of the suits that the characters have in Gotcha Man Crowds. They to me, they have that look.
Yeah. I can see that.
That's a deep cut. I appreciate that.
Even Mike and Emma, like Mike looked just like Barrett to me. He just didn't have he had a gun. He had a good arm.
Let me ask this:
black characters, man.
Does Emma remind anyone of just a female Reno?
Yes.
Yes. She looks just like Reno.
She looked just like Reno.
Just like Reno.
Hey man. Speaking of black characters, we got to talk about it.
Buddy.
Oh, I know you talking about.
That man really just sat there with the comb for like a minute and a half, talking about, hey man, if he mess up my fade, it's gonna be problems. I'm like, what?
hey man, is that not accurate to the black community?
No.
What?
Not all of us.
I swear, bro, not all of us.
Large demographic of black. Hey, that line is everything.
You know what's bad about that? I need to get a haircut, by the way, Devin. He'll put me on tomorrow.
See?
Man, what's bad about that? I was watching that dude. And, you know, I used to have a hot top. I had a hot top fade for a long time. So I remember like, you got to put some work in that picket, boy. You ain't no joke. I was like, what I'm talking about? This is what this sticker is. Shit I'm watching.
Man, even his mech had the space to have a hot top fade. I was like,
it did have hot top.
Like, I want to see him fight. So this actually also reminds me of Hell's Paradise a little bit. The whole thing of like this guy that has been like, he's a ninja. He seems to be like very skilled, like one of the more skilled ones, and he's been like kind of exiled from his group. The guy that was the leader kind of betrayed him or something.
Very similar, yeah.
Very similar to Hell's Paradise because you figure out that he was like kind of being brainwashed by his leader and things weren't as they seem. So that kind of reminds me of Hell's Paradise a little bit in that aspect. I actually want to, and also we talked about social commentary. Like I think the fact that people can get so caught up in like a group or wanting to belong or like even a job that like you'll just sacrifice yourself. When they did that mission, that flashback, and they fell off that cliff, and they was in that woman was in the cupboard with the child, and Mara shot her. Well, no, she tried to kill her. She got shot, and they jumped out the window. He saved her, and she tried to kill herself. He was like, "Hold on, wait." So it was almost like it's like a commentary, like, man, people will like run themselves or kill themselves and into the ground for somebody that don't even really care about you. And people betrayed you, and it's like over what? It's like, oh, we can't tell people about these skills and secrets. Oh, but now we're gonna do it. It's like, but you reneged on what you said this whole thing was about. So I think that's a commentary there in that sense. And I want to see more because I think it was really cool seeing like the more realistic, like, well, realistic because everything was like super crazy, hyper fast speed with the fighting and the choreography, but like the ninjutsu. Because at one point he was in a genjutsu, I think, when he was on that top of that building, and it was like he was in a wheelchair. And he said, "I want to see them." It's like he was in a genjutsu at that time. He pulled that needle out his arm and he went the car salesman floaty thing mode with his arm.
Wacky waving inflatable arm tube, man. Yeah. Well, that, I mean, like when he pulled the needle out, that wasn't like a genjutsu. That was really more of him like basically forcing his body to be fight ready.
Yeah. No, I know
He
that,
knew
but
they
I'm
was
saying
coming.
like he was seeing like he was on the rooftop, but it's like he was seeing like him being wheeled in there with by somebody, and his wife and kid was on there.
Oh, that's
It
just
could have,
like a flashback.
yeah,
Like,
it could have
'cause
just been, yeah,
that was like the moment, because like when he woke up, they was like, "Do you want to see their bodies?" And he was like, "No, I'm not." Like, you could tell he wasn't emotionally prepped for that shit.
yeah.
And so I guess he was flashing back to that moment. And he was like, and he still didn't. And you know what I'm trying to figure out? What they found in this man.
How what?
Like,
Good question.
What'd you say?
How are they finding him? Because like,
how are they finding him? Oh,
yeah, like because he's like generally keeping a low profile, and yet somehow they always seem to know where he is.
Hey, I mean,
In fact, if you think about it, that's a question for the whole show because the first guy who got killed was like, how did they find me? How did they
have
know
been
what I look
asking
like?
that a lot. Like, in fact, that was a big part of episode. Well, not a big part, but a part of episode 2 when he like, hey man, they figured his tech out, and bro was like, how the fuck they do that?
yeah. I mean,
Probably
in this
Mark
case,
Zuckerberg.
Alza probably has something to do with it, probably.
and it could be some type of track. I mean, we never know. Like, these people join this thing, they could have something, some type of tracker that might be very inconspicuous on them.
Yeah, that might have been put in them as a part of like an initiation that they don't know. Who knows?
Yeah,
that's part of what I was. That's what I'm hoping they do. I hope it's not just because a lot of stories will just neglect it and it'll just be like, oh, they just knew where you were, and it's like, well, how? And it's like, don't worry about that. It's like, I'm hoping they don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm episode 5 was very interesting with like the part where Mike goes down with the ex executive or tech guy from the organization, and they find the file with all the empty social security numbers and the names, and then Emma's name is on the list. That I think might tie in somewhat into that stuff as well.
Yeah. You remember go ahead, Kelly.
Go ahead, Devin.
I was when we watched. I told Kim, I was like, when she asked him about lunch, something just the way she said it just didn't seem right. I was like, I feel like something's going on with her. Like something just don't line up with her. Also, she's like Reno, so that might be part of it. You know, she's a Turk. So.
I knew somebody was going like, and I mean, that whole episode, I was suspicious of both of them, to be honest with you, because like when he was down there with that dude, I was like, I'm like, are you about to shoot this man? Like, are you about to get the info you want and then just like brain this dude? Like
that would have been
to the back of the head or some shit. Like, what the fuck? And then like all of a sudden, the other like agent showed up or mercenaries showed up, and it's interesting because they didn't send Ninja, which I mean makes sense because if they had sent Ninja, they would have just been dead. But like they sent like some mercenaries, and the mercenaries is like, how'd y'all get here? How did y'all like? Nobody's supposed to know I'm here. And then also even the guy, like the hacker dude, was like, nobody's supposed to. How do you know I'm here? And it's like clearly like Emma's involved in that, I think.
Yeah.
Damn, you're right. Now that you mention it, like, yeah, that question has come up a lot over the course of the show. Wow.
Yeah.
I hope there is something to that, because yeah, if they don't answer that question, then yeah.
Well, one thing to think about. I think was it the part with like the dark web shit, and they were talking about Alza, and one of the things they said was like, Alza's planning to take over the world, and it's like, well, y'all are already rich. So what to you does taking over the world entail? And so like, where's the super dystopian, like, holy shit, that's fucked up thing? Like, there's always some secret invention about the like that would just like ruin society. Like, where's that come into play? And like a cyberpunk story like this, that's basically what this is. In a cyberpunk-esque story like this, that always comes into play. And so I just wonder, like, are they gonna reveal some kind of invention that's just like, hey man, it just knows where you're at all times, and then some shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, even when they talked about, when they were getting ready to go there, the roads, how if you didn't have certain security, like clearance, those things would just automatically shoot you. So like, we already see like this stuff is being integrated like into just everyday society. Hey, you don't have the right security clearance to go through this tunnel, get in the city, you're just gonna shoot your car up. Like, which is crazy to think about that even just being a actual reality. But I'm actually really curious to see what these techniques are, what his true technique is. I mean, he's done like the Yoshimitsu breath with the arms is pretty cool. He used it against when the collector came up in the restaurant, and he started fighting them. I know Kim would get that reference. They had the forearms, and I was like, and he did. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. So it's like they kind of melding like the real world stuff with some more like Naruto-esque like genjutsu or ninjutsu, should I say. But when he went and got healed by the old guy told him, he said, like, look, you can't do this again. You're gonna die. And he turned him over. He said, wait a minute, you already should have been dead. What's this? Like, So I don't know. Is he getting? Is like there an awakening happening? Is he getting better with this thing, or is this going to ultimately be his demise? Which is very similar to the Gates with Guy Sensei and Rock Lee. It's like he unlocks a level and he just goes like, I mean, the first time he did it, like you couldn't even see his pupils. He was just like
A lot of times in these fight back against the corporation stories, like the dude always dies at the end. Like he may have achieved like part of his goal or his entire goal, but usually they wind up dying at the end. So I just foresee at some point that technique killing him because he just won't give it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be true, but I mean, I can see this guy just self-imploding because I mean that's what happened. He's just like, look, I'm just full forward. Like, and when he saw the helicopter, he just forgot about the other guy. He's like, he was straight to that. Like, they were still fighting and attacking. He was like, I don't care. That's my target right there. And I really want to see like more of the backstory on what really happened, like per se, of why that guy stayed with the leader and those two defected. Well, I guess defected, but they came. It's like, so why did he stay? Like, and what is his plight? Like, it's like also why can he do force choke? Is he Darth Vader's
Yeah, that's a
son?
good question. I want to know about him because why was he out here force choking homeboy at the table, bro? I get he was horny as all hell.
Oh, okay.
And you're trying to take the air out of his lungs so he couldn't talk. Come on, man.
That ninja, whatever his technique is, I need that technique. That man was not playing.
Turned that little dude upside down and everything. It was like, hey man, shut the fuck up. I'm tired of this.
Yo, porty ass.
Put your meat up.
But yeah, in conclusion, man, I wouldn't give it a 7.5 just because I'm a sucker for like really like dope choreography, and it's a lot of dope choreography in this. Like I said, this is more like along the lines of like an adult version of like something like I know there's been done before, like anime like this for adults, but this is just another one of those kind of like, hey, this is more edgy, a lot more edgy, a lot of blood, a lot of fighting, just some kind of very A to B story. But hey, we know it's for adults. Kids really shouldn't be watching this anyway, but I know they are. It's at some point.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
they sitting up right now.
Yeah, I give it a 7.5.
Okay. Real quick, does anybody have any theories about where the story goes next?
Isekai.
Oh my god.
Man, if it
turn
did
the
that,
show off.
I'm about to say throw it in the trash.
Turn the show off immediately.
Throw it all the way away.
We already got that coming. Suicide Squad, Isekai.
I think on my end, I think the story, episode 5 really kind of tied a big conspiracy kind of vibe behind it, and then the main character taking the L. So I see the story taking he has to kind of come for him to achieve his goal. He's gonna have to kind of let some of his hatred and vengeance subside and focus on his goal in a different way. That could be conveyed through some of whoever saved him and how their relationship is going to go. We're going to probably find out more about the other secret techniques we didn't learn about, because they were very big on like, hey, you don't reveal your secret technique to anybody else but you. And ultimately, I kind of am on the same fence with you, Sage. It's like he probably will meet his demise because this is kind of how those stories go. I am interested to see how it goes for the police officer too, because like how he ties into this, and maybe them working together helps them find some semblance of resolve for losing their families in different ways. I think that's where I go.
I think the police officer has a better chance of living than Joe does. What's up, Terrence?
The more that we talked about it, the more I really do think that this show has potential to take itself to the next level. And I think that one way that it could do that is if it does more of a deconstruction of, like, if Higan and his team find out more about the ninja world and what's really going on underneath that, like, is there stuff that Higan doesn't know that's like at the pits of the ninja world, and also deconstructing Alza? Like, how are they tied together? Like, what's going on? Yeah, I feel like those questions, like if those are answered correctly and if it's answered in an interesting enough way, I think that this show could take itself to the next level. But if it stays on like the narrow, straightforward path, then it'll just be another, generic action anime.
Yeah.
I think coming out of episode 6 is gonna decide. The way that 5 ended, and I'm like, okay, well, 6 is the part where like the protagonist finally has to sit his ass down for a little bit. Like he been ripping and running, as the old folks say, this whole series. Like ever since his family died, he's like, oh man, I gotta take out people. hopping around the world, going to different cities, fighting different ninja, and now finally he's had his first loss. I will say I did like that bit where he was like fighting and whooping a lot of ass, and then he finally got caught up, and he took them first few heavy blows, and you can always tell when a hero's about to take that L, because like two things happen. One thing for sure, it always start raining. It's like, oh man, as soon as you see some rain, all right, they about to lose. But then like his mask cracked and broke, and it was just him, and I'm like, okay, yeah, he got to like reinvent himself now, and so I did like that. But I will say like what I need episode 6 to be some mind blowing shit. Like I need to learn something coming out of episodes because he finally being forced to sit down. Whoever kidnapped him is I guess about telling some shit. And like if I don't learn nothing mind blowing by the end of episode 6, I'm gonna be like, all right, this show probably on just the path to being, as Terrence put it, just like an average action anime. I will say I'm pretty sure Mark Zuckerberg is gonna last about 4 episodes max. Like, because at some point he's gonna say something dumb, and like the dude, like Yamaji, is gonna be like, all right, I've had enough. I'm tired of this. Because like he even in the ninja meeting, and he looks so out of place. Like the rest of them look like, and he's just sitting there chilling, like, oh yeah, that sounds like fun, and oh, that's just more data to be used, and all this other bullshit. And like Yamaji is clearly like, I'm tolerating you, and you don't realize it.
That part where he was like, wait, I don't take orders from you, but I like where this is going.
That was the part, because like he was serious. Like he wasn't like, I don't take orders from you, but also he wasn't like, it wasn't like he pulled back because he was scared of it for his life. He was legit like, hey man, I don't take no orders from you, but you know what? It's fine. Let's let the good times roll, baby. And I'm like, all right. And sooner or later, Yamaji is gonna be like, look, buddy, I'm a fucking ninja, and I can kill you. Like your money is cool, but money can't save your life. So one of two things is gonna happen: either he's going to get killed, or he's going to pull out some fucking. And actually, I don't know why we didn't talk about this before. Now he's going to bust out some type of mech that requires no ninja training, and it's just better than everything else. And it's gonna be like, we're gonna completely replace the ninja with the tech on some what's the shit from Mortal Kombat?
They can't be.
That's
Cyber
They planted the seeds for that in episode 5. When he was fighting those guys, they said, "Hey, those ninja techniques are out of date, dog."
Yeah,
but you also remember he was fighting that mech that had all those attachments.
Yep.
Yeah.
That wasn't the actual person, I don't think.
It was being controlled by the short dude. Yeah, so yeah, it wasn't a person inside of it. And so yeah, we getting close to that. I don't know why we didn't talk about that. That's probably where this is headed. At some point, Alice is just gonna have like an uncontrollable, like an unbeatable ninja army of just fucking drones or whatever.
Essentially, this anime could go in the direction of like new versus old, how like the ninja are like the old way and the tech is now the new way, and the tech is going to eradicate the old way kind of thing.
I ain't gonna lie. If it goes that direction,
Takuni,
you really hit just generic. Like, that's really, we've seen it before.
That's MK. That's
it is the Cyberlink way. Full-link It is that shit. Just like, all right, buddy. I mean, like, congrats, you fit full 90s. And I mean, like, I love 90s anime, but come on, man, we gotta evolve it a little bit.
So if it go that route, we're done with the 90s, man. No ninjas, man. New robots, man. Y'all niggas got kunais and just disappearing, man. We got all kinds of stuff. We got machine gun kunais, man. Right, Sengai, y'all still using right.
You mean the one-hand bandit?
Y'all still using lighter blade?
The forehand bandit in this case.
I still using substitution jutsu.
He did have a clean ass substitution jutsu.
Yeah.
I just, maybe some of these secret techniques are just really dope, and we get into that. I hope it's that. I hope we get to see some cool ass. And we've already seen some of this, but I want to see some next level, just straight up supernatural shit. Like, holy fuck, because like he was keeping up with them robots. Like if he had just stuck to it from the jump and been like, look, I'm gonna just fight y'all and kill y'all, and I catch Yamaji later. If he had done that, I think if he couldn't have won, he certainly could have took it out most of them. Because he was just stabbing them. They ain't know where the fuck to find him. None of that shit. And it was really that they just jumped him. And it was like, all right. And he wasn't paying attention. He was like doing, I don't know what the voice actor is in English, but Kenjiro Sudo in Japanese. The man was yelling his ass like he's acting his ass. Yamaji! Like that was mad as fuck. I'm like, all right, buddy. Like How about you focus on the ads? Because the boss, you can't fight the boss right now. The ads is in front of you and they own you, buddy. It's over with.
I got one more scene that I don't think anybody mentioned. Did y'all remember that scene where he was seeing? They showed them all in their actual faces, but the sun was up like by the window.
In episode 1?
I don't think it was 1. It might have been 2, but he saw that scene again. He was lying on the floor looking at Mari. They were all, you can see their regular faces.
Oh,
the sun was up by the window. Like he was going out the window or something, but he was up. He wasn't on the floor, lying on the floor.
Oh, you're talking about the way that I'd have to look at it again.
Like he was up. He was looking at him. Yeah.
But there were multiple scenes where he kind of was reimagining the scene in his head
Maybe
over and over and over again.
Maybe he was like, if
and it
this
was kind of
child
flashing.
survived me, yeah. But I do remember that scene. I didn't know
could play into it too.
That could
some
be
Cloud Strife shit where you thought you saw what you saw, and some shit happened.
Yeah,
Yeah, the more I'm at the point right now where there are some things you could do where it would get dumb, but like the more twists right now, the better. Because I need something to like, hey man, I ain't seen no shit like this before. Where it stands right now, I'm like, I've seen all of this before. It's just done in a modern era. So
yeah.
But I think that's gonna wrap this week up. Y'all know the drill. Hit that subscription button on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter and TikTok. Tell all your nerdy ass friends and family about us, and do me a personal favor. Have an excellent week. Peace.